Hello everybody. In this video, I'm going to share with you a technique that you can use to remember English vocabulary. And the reason that I recommend this technique is that it is pretty effective. I actually did a small experiment. I created two lists of words that I didn't know, and I just tried to memorize the words in each list. I did not use any technique to memorize the first list. It was just pure repetition. But for the second list, I used the technique that you are about to learn. The next day, I tried to recall the meanings of the words in both lists. For the first, I was able to recall only 12%. But for the second list, I recalled as much as 50%. This is pretty impressive considering the fact that I spent only 1 minute memorizing each word. So now let me explain this technique to you. Let's say we want to remember the word adroit, which means clever or skillful at something or being really good at something. The first thing we need to do is come up with another word that sounds similar to this word. Something that we can easily visualize. Something that we can see in our mind. So for this word, the substitute word could be Android. You've heard of Android phones. This word means robot. Adroit and Android sounds pretty close to each other, don't they? We can also use the phrase a drawing. Adroit, a drawing. These two also sound pretty similar. Now what do these words have in common? They refer to something that we can visualize, and that is very important. And you are going to find out why soon. So we have two options over here, Android and a drawing, which are similar words. But let's use the word Android as the substitute word to adroit. Now visualize an android, that is a robot that looks like a human. Next, we have to associate this image, the meaning of the word that we want to remember. And the meaning is skillful at something. So perhaps you can imagine the android doing something that requires a lot of skill. We can imagine the android playing the guitar on stage. Maybe there's a competition going on and we can imagine another guitarist come up on stage trying to compete with the android. But everybody loses because the android is very good at playing the guitar. We can also say the android is an adroit at playing the guitar. So what are we doing here? We are associating the pronunciation with the meaning through an image or a story. We are creating an association between these words. So when you come across this word again, the pronunciation will remind you of the association and therefore the meaning of the word. Let's take a look at one more example. Suppose we want to remember the word lambaste, which means to criticize someone or something harshly. For the first syllable, we can use lamp, the animal, or lamp, the thing that generates light, as the substitute word. Now, for the second syllable, bass, we can use bass, the musical instrument. And I also happen to have a friend by the name of Bass. So personally, I can use his name also as a substitute. But let's use lamp, the animal, and bass, the musical instrument together. So we can now imagine a lamp playing the bass. But unfortunately, the lamp is really terrible at playing the bass. So the people get angry and start criticizing the lamp. We can also say, the people are lambasting the lamp. So friends, hope you liked this video and found it useful. Stay tuned for more. Goodbye.